All right, guys, we got three more likely candidates for day two cornerback action. These are three guys who I do think will go on day two if I had to guess right now. There is certainly an opportunity for them to slip to day three, but as of right now, the projections seem to have them in that day two range. First, we got Eli Ricks, also known as Elias Ricks of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Young guy, 21 years old, had a very interesting path to the NFL. This is a guy who really played well for LSU for 2 years, then transferred to Alabama for the last 2 years and flashed, but also had issues staying on the field. 6'2", 188 pounds, 32 and 3/8 inch arms, 8 and 7/8 inch hands. CBS really likes him. They have a second round grade on him. Tankathon has like a third round grade on him. PFF has him right at the top of the fourth. But then you got like ESPN. They got him going undrafted, I think. They have him going right at the bottom of the seventh, maybe. So, wide range of takes here. The aggregate says late third. Seems reasonable to me. Now, one reason why he's in the late third is the amount of production he's had the last 2 years for the Crimson Tide. It's not very high. 15 total games the last 2 years, and he's got all of 24 tackles, 1 interception, and 5 passes defensed. So not a lot of production here. You are betting on his talent, and there is definitely talent here, and you're also betting on his upside because he's so young. And there is plenty of upside for sure. He's got great instincts for zone coverage. I think he'll be a great fit for his zone defense. Very intelligent pre-snap, the way he lines up to disguise things, the way he lines up and tries to use the information he's given to figure out what's going to happen post-snap. Really good at that stuff. He does have ball skills, I think, even though it didn't show up in the stats over the last couple years at Alabama. It actually showed up a little bit more at LSU the previous 2 years. He can do off man, and press man, no problem. So scheme versatile. You run man, he can do it. You run zone, he can do it. You want to press, you want to play off, he can do it. He's good. He's very physical. He can play physically with these receivers. He's 6'2", and he knows how to use it. And he can pretty much handle all kinds of routes, in-breaking routes, vertical routes, double moves. He handles it all fairly well. So Eli Ricks, a lot of potential here. However, there's a little bit of a ceiling on it. He doesn't have great top-end speed. He is going to have issues handling receivers running vertically on him. The speedsters out there, the true speedsters, are going to give him issues. And just generally speaking, it's hard to have a ton of confidence in a guy who's given you 15 total games over the last 2 years combined after starting out so strong those first couple years at LSU. And also, on top of his speed not being so great, I think his short area quickness is also a little bit lacking. Sometimes he's just a little bit tardy, trying to make a play on the ball, a little bit tardy breaking on the route. So it seems like this is a guy who is very, very smart and makes the most of what he has, but he just doesn't have the gifts that some of these other guys do. I mean, obviously he has some gifts, of course. We're talking about him as a day two pick. But there is room for him to grow. There's room for him to get better. There is a lot of stuff that he is going to be very good at, like, most importantly, zone coverage. I don't think I can take him in day two looking at his production. The production is just not there. So, fourth round, day three kicks up. Sounds about right to me. I just can't do it with the relative lack of production these last 2 years. He's got 24 total tackles over the last 2 years combined. All right. Darius Rush is next up here. It's a South Carolina Gamecock, another one. 23 years old. 6'2", 198 pounds, long arms, almost 34-inch arms, so he's big, weighty, long, 9.5-inch hands too. Ran a nice 40 time, 4.36, very respectable, 1.5, 110-yard split, good acceleration. Not a ton of explosiveness, granted. 35-inch vert and 10-foot 1-inch broad is not what you're looking for ideally, but he has a lot of very desirable traits. And a few big boards have him going in the third. A couple actually have him going in like the fifth. Sports Illustrated has him barely getting drafted. The aggregate has him going in the late third. And I gotta say, that sounds about right to me when I look at this guy. He only had 10 games last year, missed a few games, but he had 2 interceptions, 7 passes defensed, 80-plus coverage grade, 38 tackles. The year before that, he gave you all 13 games, gave you 8 passes defensed, 3 tackles for loss. So not huge production, but a consistently solid amount of production is how I would probably put it with this one. So Darius Rush, the thing to understand here is that I think there's more to him than the production at South Carolina. Reason why I say that is I think he has good hands, and that didn't really show up in college because he has 3 interceptions over the last 2 years. He's a former receiver. He went to South Carolina as a receiver and converted to cornerback. So I think if you put him in situations where he can make an interception, he'll make those interceptions. So I like that. It also means he's kind of new to playing cornerback, so he has upside to grow that a 23-year-old usually doesn't have. So you combine that potential growth with his natural size, speed, and length. There's something here that I actually like a lot more than I was expecting. He's going to be great in zone. He's going to be really good in zone. He's got great zone instincts. He really understands how to get back in his drops in zone and then watch things in front of him and react to it appropriately. He uses his long arms really well to consistently make plays on the ball. He's somebody who's going to disrupt at the point of catch constantly because he can just get his hand in there a little bit earlier than other players. He's got good physicality. He's good at the line of scrimmage, jamming in a press man as well. Should give you some value in special teams. Should be a good special teamer as well, especially at first when he's trying to earn a role on the defense. So I really like Darius Rush. I do think his quick twitch reactions are a little bit lacking, but that might just be an issue with confidence because he hasn't played cornerback for that long. He will probably struggle in man a little bit, partially because of that. So you're going to want to keep him in zone, but hey, that's probably fine for us, right? He's not a very good tackler either, which, again, I would say that's what you expect from a guy who just started playing corner after converting from wide receiver. And overall, he's just not a very explosive athlete like I covered. He does leave a little something lacking there, but I feel like the size and speed and length make up for it. So overall, Darius Rush, this would be a great cornerback for Pete Carroll to work on. I think he would work really well in the cover 3 scheme that Carroll runs. I think that he's going to develop far beyond what we see right now. I think he's far from a finished product. This is a cornerback I would spend a day 2 pick on for sure. I would spend that 3rd round pick on him to bring him in. I'm not saying we definitely should, but this is a guy who, if we used a round 3 pick on, I would have no issues with it whatsoever. I would feel really good about it. I would feel like this is a guy who's going to be great for us. This is a guy who's going to develop quickly under Carroll, and he's going to be a very valuable piece for us. So Darius Rush is pretty high on my list here. And we got one more guy here. The last guy who I see having, I'll say, decent odds of going day 2. Garrett Williams of Syracuse. The aggregate has him just barely clinging on to the back end of the 3rd right now. So it could go one way or the other for sure. But as of right now, he is in. Syracuse Orange, 22 years old. Shorter guy, 5'10", 192 pounds, 31-inch arms, 9.25-inch hands. PFF likes him the best. They have him in the late 2nd. Last 2 years, he's been not super productive because he hasn't played a ton. He's got 17 games under his belt, last 2 years combined for Syracuse. Made a lot of tackles in 2021, I guess, but he's got the 2 interceptions from 2022. Kind of a weird regression with his plays made on the ball. In 2021, he had 9 passes defensed. In 2022, he had 3. So, little concerning signs there, but reasonably productive 2 years at Syracuse, I guess. So, what I can say about him as a player is that he's very aggressive, sometimes maybe a little too much so, but he does play very aggressively and physically. He's somebody who has the mentality and the attitude that you look for in a defensive player. He has fast reactions when the ball is in the air. He reacts very quickly once the ball's up there and he has to go make a play on it. He's a good tackler, especially for his size. That's important. I do think he's a pretty good tackler. He quickly rallies to the ball in all situations, be it the running back has it and he has to get up to the line of scrimmage to make a tackle, or he's breaking on the ball because it's in the air and the wide receivers making a play for it. He's got really good top-end speed. He didn't run at the combine, but he is very fast. And I do think he'll excel in zone coverage and press man. I think he'll do well in both. And again, that flexibility is desirable for, I mean, it's desirable for pretty much any player, but if we're really going to be trying this Vic Fangio combined with the Carroll defense, you're going to want to see a little bit of both, and I think he can do well in both. Now, I do think sometimes he plays over aggressively, gets a little out of control, sometimes misses tackles because he's just a little too eager to go lay the wood. There are times when I think he maybe gets a little bit grabby and a little bit penalty heavy because of just how aggressive he is. You need to rein it in a little bit. I think his ball skills are good, but he hasn't done a lot of intercepting so far. So hopefully that changes. He's got the 2 interceptions last year. He does get beat deep sometimes. Again, it's not really a speed issue. It's not like he's getting outrun. He's just getting stacked on these vertical routes sometimes. He needs to learn. It's a thing that can be taught. And probably the biggest issue with Garrett Williams for me is that he's coming off its torn ACL, will probably miss part of his rookie year, and is going to miss his first training camp and going to miss his opportunity to truly develop that first year. So that's definitely a concern with Garrett Williams. If he hadn't torn his ACL, maybe I would spend the 3rd round pick on him. I'd prefer it to be a really late 3rd round pick, but I might be willing to do it. As it stands with the ACL tear robbing him a part of his rookie year, I would do it in the 4th. If he's there in the 4th, okay. I don't love it, but I'm good with it. I like it. It seems solid to me. But the torn ACL really kind of takes the wind out of the sails for me of making him a day 2 pick. So personally, I'm looking at this guy and I see a guy I want to take in the 4th round because of the torn ACL. All right, so that's it for the day 2 prospects. Tomorrow we will be moving on to day 3, and there are quite a few good ones there. So hope you guys will be tuning in. I will probably post another video later today. See you guys on Twitch tonight as well. Go Hawks.